It's time for us to work on the second step of our lollipop artwork inspired by Wayne Thiebaud's lollipop art. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to cut out my circles. So I'm just going to take my time and I'm cutting right on the lines. I have two hands for my cutting and I'm using one hand to operate the scissors and my other hand is turning the paper as I cut. That's a little bit easier than trying to turn my hand all over the place. So I am just cutting. And if it's easier to snip that part off and then cut this part, then I can do it that way. Do you see how slow and careful I'm being? And if you accidentally snip a little bit of it, that's okay. We'll put a little piece of tape on the back. All right, another hint I have, if I have to cut these two out and if it's too tricky with all of this extra paper, I'm just gonna cut these off like this. And then I'll cut this piece off. So that way I don't have so much paper to handle. Remember that little mess up? This is where that part just gets cut right off. So I'm going to turn my paper. I'm holding my scissors kind of straight and snipping. And I'm turning my paper. And I have my thumb through the little hole and I have two fingers in the other hole. You might be able to fit more than two because your hands will be smaller than mine. So that's my second lollipop. One more. And I'm going to try to cut this one kind of speedy. I don't want you to be speedy. I want you to take your time. But I know it's not super exciting to watch me cut, so I'm going to cut mine a little bit more speedy. There we go. So I'm going to get my scraps ready to go into the recycling. Make a little pile of those. And so I can decide how I want to arrange these. I'm going to let them actually stick off of my page a little bit. I think I want this one in the middle actually. So what the other things I have some sticks and I have a piece of scrap paper. If we're going to make a little stand, kind of like we may have seen in our artwork that we looked at Wayne Thiebaud's artwork. So we can just take a pencil. I'm going to have a straight edge here and I can make a little lump. That's one way I could do it. Another thing I could do, if I have something kind of round like this old CD, I can put it so it's half on the scrap and half off of the scrap. And I'm going to take this hand, I'm going to hold it down, and I'm going to draw right around it. I'm going to trace around it. So then I can cut that out. I'm going to use that one. So I'm going to cut right on here. And this is a nice big scrap. So I can save the rest for another project. So we're going to put that in the scrap box. So this is going to be my stand for my lollipops. I'm going to glue that down first. Let's see. We might have our paintbrush glue, or we might have bottles of glue. If we're using bottles, we're going to be really careful. We're just going to go, remember, dot, dot, not a lot. I'm just putting tiny dots in there, not really too close to the edge, because if I put them too close to the edge of my shape, when I put my shape down there, the glue is going to squeeze out and it's going to look messy. So I'm just putting some dots. And this is ready. So I'm going to put this, ooh, let me think. Do we want to turn it this way? Let's think for a second. Sometimes artists have to decide how they want their artwork to be. So my lollipops could go that way too. You know what? I'm going to let you decide how you want yours to be. I think I'm going to turn mine back the other way, but you can decide. You are the artist, so you can turn your paper whichever way you want. But I'm going to put this down right here. And the next thing I'm going to do is put my sticks on. We don't usually glue sticks on things, do we? So I'm going to put some dots right on that stick. If it's easier to lay it down and put your dots on it that way, you can do that. And then I'm just going to carefully pick it up. And if you get a little glue on your hands, that's okay. You can let it dry and it'll rub right off. So there's one stick on. I think on this one I am going to hold it because that was kind of hard to pick up with the glue, with it laying down and the glue on it. So I'm putting some more dots. And I'm going to let this one go out. Do you see my glue scooted out a little bit? That's okay. When it dries, it's not going to be very noticeable. And some more dots on this stick, but we do not want to put big puddles of glue. That's going to make our artwork really messy. We don't want to do that. And now it's time for my lollipops to get stuck on here. And so I'm going to put dots on this now. Lots of dots of glue. We are using bottle glue, if it won't come out, if it's stuck, we never want to take the whole top off. That's going to make a really big mess. So you can ask for some help with that. So let's put that on. And let's see. Do you see all these glue dots? We are doing lots of dots, aren't we? Let's put one in the middle. And I want my heart to go that way, I think. One thing I didn't think about, if part of this edge is hanging off, I don't want a lot of glue hanging off. So maybe I would just not put it so close to the edge. Maybe I would put my dots a little bit more in the middle, because it's okay if my lollipop's a little bit loose on the edges. So let's see. I'm going to push that down too. So I'm going to give some extra pushes. And if my name, we might have our names already on our papers, or we might not have our names on our papers yet. And so if you don't have your name on your paper yet, we could write our names with the oil pastel. It might be fun if we're using a dark paper. We could use a white oil pastel and write our name. Or I could write it right here on the stand. I think I'm going to do that. Let's see. And it's really kind of tricky to write our names with an oil pastel really small. So it's okay if it's a little bit big. But I'm going to put mine right here. And we might add some more decorations to this picture on another day, but we're going to leave it just like this to dry. We're going to carry it really, really carefully, nice and flat like a pizza, to the drying rack and let it dry.